Today I'm going to be matching a knockdown texture with the knockdown texture sponge. Wanted to give you a quick look at this ceiling, but the tape joints are failing. It's a paper tape joint. As you can see, it's cracking and coming down. So before I match the texture, I had to go ahead and remove the tape and then do the mud work. Alright, got the tape removed and I retaped and did 3 coats of joint compound. I'm going to let it dry overnight and then start the texturing. I'll have plenty of ceiling repair video links down below in the description. So I'm going to use my knockdown sponge to match the texture on this vaulted ceiling repair. Basically, you just want to get the joint compound up on the repair that you're trying to match the knockdown texture on. Then you can drop back and work on the texture more. Okay, now if you notice, I'm leaving the joint compound to hang down from the ceiling in those little spots, and that's what's going to give it the knockdown effect. So you just want to go along and keep, I call it dabbing and pulling, and that's what leaves the joint compound hanging down. Then you'll come back and you want to blend into the existing with the sponge, just with the amount of joint compound you've already had up on the ceiling. Let me know in the comments what type of texture you have on your ceiling. Stick around to the end of the video and I'll give you some great tips on using the knockdown texture sponge. Gonna want to let it set for about 5 minutes before you knock it down. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you'd like to see more of these type of videos. All right, time to knock down the new texture. I like to use a Lexan knockdown paddle. I like to use these type of acrylic knockdown paddles because if you use a regular drywall taping knife made of stainless steel or blue steel, it tends to flatten out the texture more than you like. When knocking down, you want to keep a light touch. You don't want to apply too much pressure. You just want to let the knockdown knife glide over the top. If you apply too much pressure, it's going to flatten out the knockdown texture and maybe not match your existing. I like to keep my 6-inch drywall taping knife handy. That way I can remove any excess knockdown texture mud off of the knockdown paddle. That way I'm not dragging too much mud around on the new texture. So what I'll do is I'll let this set up and then come back and knock it down one more time in about 15 minutes. Knocking it down a second time helps blend the texture and also knock down any little ridges that might have come from the first round of knocking it down. Stick around to the end of the video to see just how good this texture match blended. Okay, so again, I'm just getting the knockdown mix up on the ceiling and I'm trying to leave the joint compound hanging down so that it knocks down and looks like the blobs that would normally be shot up on the ceiling by a texture machine or a hopper. Doing it this way saves a lot of money if you're getting a contractor to do it. Usually I skim coat these ceilings, or at least give the option to skim coat or just match the texture in the area that I repaired. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop back once I get most of this up there and add some more blobs and kind of blend it out into the existing texture. Here I'm blending it out into the existing ceiling and I'm going probably about 10 inches out from each side of the repair into the existing ceiling. I'm just blending to nothing, meaning I'm going out from the repair and not adding any mud, just using what's available from the repair. Texture sat for about 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and knock it down. Gonna give it a light touch, not too much pressure. Be sure to look in the description of this video. I'll leave links to all kinds of different drywall and ceiling repair videos and knockdown texture videos. I'll even leave some links for some skim coating videos. Let me know in the comments if you're a DIYer, contractor, painter. Just kind of curious. Okay, here I'm gonna take my 6-inch taping knife and just make sure that everything's blended and really flat right along the outer edge where I blended into the existing repair. Alright, I'm on the final stretch of this big old vaulted ceiling, so no need to leave now. You're going to get to see how this thing turned out. So as you're applying the knockdown texture with the knockdown texture sponge, you basically want to dab and pull, and that brings the mud down to where it's going to lay out like the knockdown texture. So you just rapidly dab and pull, add more mud until you get it close. I like to practice on a piece of cardboard. That's what I'd recommend to you if you're going to try this on a repair or something. And also, mix the compound barely with water. You don't want to over mix it or get it too thin. You want to keep the thickness of the joint compound so it doesn't flatten out. If you get it too thin, it's going to flatten out. So barely mix what comes out of the bucket of the all-purpose joint compound. What I'm doing now is just kind of making everything a little more consistent and uniform. And I'm also going to just keep grabbing some of the mud and adding where I need to add. And then I'm going to go on the outside perimeter just to do some blending. That's the key with ceiling repairs and wall repairs, is the blending when you have a texture. So you want to blend it into the existing. All right, I waited about 10 minutes for this to set up, and I'm going to go ahead and knock it down. I'm starting right in the center of the corner of the vaulted ceiling. That way you can concentrate on having a decent and straight line. You don't want a big blob and a smush out because it might show. So barely any pressure. Now I'm going to take my 6-inch taping knife and just kind of knock down the edge. Again, that's part of the blending process. As you can see, the knockdown texture is blended nicely. Give it till tomorrow morning, and the homeowners are going to prime it using a Zinsser 123 and their favorite flavor of a nice bright flat white paint.
And if you want to catch the next video or any of my upcoming videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button now in the center of the screen to keep up with all my videos. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I'll leave some of my most popular video links down below in the description. Thanks so much for watching.